Fallout New Vegas is probably one of my favorite games. From the writing, the characters, the story, the gameplay, all of it just hits right on the money for me. Another game that does that, though, is Team Fortress 2. And I kind of wanted to do a challenge run in the same vein as like Mitten Squad or Nurbit or, one of them. And, try to beat Fallout New Vegas as the Pyro from Team Fortress 2. Can we do it? Well, let's find out. I've kind of always wanted to do this run since the flamethrowers are always in the game, but I've never really touched them. But I thought this would be a good opportunity to try them out for the very first time. So, let's get right on into it. We start the game off by being shot in the head. After that, we wake up in bed to some DLC, and then get up and see our rescuer, an old man who used to be a medic. He asks us what our name is, and we reply with Pyro. And then he hands us a computer so we can see ourselves, but I think there's something wrong with it. After that, we get up and get a little distracted. He's saying something, but I don't quite know what it was, and I just pretend like I heard him. And after that, we decide to run around his house like a freaking maniac, just jumping all over the place, jumping all over his medical equipment and tables, and we even defile his couches. But after that, we sit down and decide on our stats. For our stats, we left strength, agility, and luck the same, and just drained charisma, because charisma is kind of a useless stat in this game, and also, I don't think the Pyro has much charisma other than being cute. We pumped up our perception because that's what energy weapons are based off of, and the flamers and other weapons in this game are considered energy weapons. Bumped our endurance up to 8 because in the game the vigor tester says 8 is flame retardant, even though you can't really become immune to flame damage or fire damage in this game, at least not by normal means. And then we put our extra point in intelligence just so we can get a few more skill points every time we leveled up. After that, the former medic asks us a few questions, and we get to choose our tag skills. Our tag skills are basically skills that we start off with a little extra boost in their skill points too. That way we're better starting off with them. The ones we choose are energy weapons, because the fire-based weapons we're using, like the flamer, are going to be based off of that. We're choosing melee weapons, so we are good with the fire axe when we get that. And explosives, because there's a perk in this game called Pyromaniac that you only get if you have 60 in explosives. Now, this was an oversight by the devs. It was originally supposed to be 60 in energy weapons, but hey, what can you do? So that's why we're tagging that. And after that, we choose our trait. Now, I was debating on whether or not to take skilled, but I ended up not taking it on this run. But I did take the Wild Wasteland perk, because it adds a whole bunch of Easter eggs and craziness to the Wasteland that I thought was very fitting for Pyro. I chose not to do hardcore mode, which is basically a survival mode for those who don't know, because I just didn't really want to worry about it in this run. Now, we are technically ready to get started, but I wanted to add myself in 2 items to make myself look more like the Pyro and kind of get into the roleplay aspect of it more. So I added in the space suit and the ranger helmet, and if this invalidates the run in your eyes, then I'm totally okay with that. This run was just for fun, so I didn't really care either way. These are the only 2 pieces of armor that I used in the entire run, so if they got broken or damaged, I had just had to deal with it until I got it repaired. But yeah, if this invalidates it for you, then alright, fine. But honestly, this was just for fun, so whatever. Our first order of business was getting ourselves a weapon. So I went over to Chet's to see what he had, and he had absolutely nothing to use, not even the ammo for what we needed. So we just decided to head over to Primm, because I remembered there was a bandit over there who had a incinerator we could use. But then I had to stop and think, how are we going to kill that bandit if we don't have any weapons? I debated back and forth on whether or not I could punch him to death or not, but then I decided against it and did a little research to see if I could find an incinerator or some sort of flame-based weapon somewhere else, and finally I came up with it. So I went back to Chet's and bought myself a shovel. Now, I wasn't going to use this as a weapon, but instead, for grave robbing. See, at the Yangtze Memorial, there's a chance that one of the graves will have an incinerator with some ammo, and after a little bit of searching, we found it. So I took all the ammo in the incinerator there, and then checked the other grave just to make sure that there was no flame or ammo in there. And then I proceeded to dance on this dead man's grave in victory that we finally had our first weapon of the run. We ran into a strange robot called Victor, and although he was a little weird, we quickly became friends. I tried to do the back in the saddle quest with Sunny Smiles, but I was able to shoot some of the bottles down, but Sunny didn't seem impressed. So I reloaded a save and continued our walk down to Primm. Ran into a powder ganger, and he seemed like a friendly sort of fella. And then we ran into a small little gecko who was just adorable, but he was having none of it and tried to bite my ankles off, so I burned that little bugger to a crisp. Serves him right. Saw a roller coaster off in the distance and started making my way towards it. Unfortunately, I couldn't get to it immediately because there was a gate in the way. I tried jumping over it, but looks like we're gonna have to walk around. A nice army man warned me about Primm, as it was dangerous and had been overrun by convicts. I thanked him and continued on my way, but what he didn't tell me was the landmines covering the bridge. I had to slowly, carefully walk up to each one and deactivate them. As I entered town, a few bandits decided to shoot at me and I had to take cover. After a little bit of a firefight, they eventually learned their lessons. I went inside to go look for an entrance to the roller coaster, see if I can find a way on, but all I found were a bunch of mean old bandits still, attacking me relentlessly, so I had to put them in their place. One after the other, they just kept on coming, but eventually, after some time and a lot of fire, they were dealt with accordingly. I encountered a man who had the name of a dog, and I decided to release him. I tried to open a door, but it just refused and broke my lockpick, so I fired upon it, but to no avail. I then went upstairs to continue looking, but all I found was more mean men, and then I leveled up. I increased energy weapons, explosives, and melee weapons, and then I took the confirmed bachelor perk because of the extra damage against male opponents, not because of the fan theories about Pyro's gender and sexual orientation. I finally found a way onto the roller coaster, but there's a killjoy on there trying to ruin all my fun, so I had to deal with him. Then I found the Vicky and Vance casino and went in, talked with an old man named Nash, who told me if I was to find the checkered man, I needed to talk to the dog man. So I talked to the dog man again, and he told me yes, he did know where the checkered suit man had went. Over to Novac. So I started making my way over when I found this cute little scorpion boy who was just so adorable, and so I tried to make friends with him, but he just stung me, so I had to knock a little bit of sense into him by setting him ablaze. I also ran into the little ant fella, and I thought we were having fun communicating, nodding back and forth, but apparently he wasn't having none of it and decided to bite me, so again, he got taught the lesson of playing with fire. I saw two men off in the distance and thought they could help me, so I started making my way down there, but apparently I had angered the ant hordes and they had just attacked me on my way there. I tried to take out as many as I could, but I ran out of ammo, so I just had to book it. And when I finally got there, it turns out they were just two metal statues. How disappointing. I talked to the lady in the fancy hat and glasses, but she didn't have any ammo for me, just wanted me to go to Nipton. So I talked to the man in the fancy hat and glasses, but he also didn't have any ammo for me. Just another mission to go kill some ants, which I couldn't do because I didn't have any ammo. I'm able to find a workbench to recycle some of the flamer fuel, but it's not enough, so we won't go exploring and find the NCRCF. Guy doesn't want to let us in without us paying, so we just pay him a few caps and walk straight in. There we find Eddie, who wants us to do a job for him since we're here. He has a man named Chavez who he wants taken down. So, on our way to Chavez, we encounter... Wait, what is that? Is that a floating barrel? It is! Huh. Alright then. Well, we meet up with Chavez and tell him Eddie wants him out of the picture, and then begin to set him and his friends on fire, and just look at them burn. Ah, it's beautiful. Anyway, we head back to Eddie, and he's wanting us to now go take care of a merchant who's been roaming around in their territory. But at this point, I'm starting to run low on ammo. I don't know where I can get some more, so I decided to go on my way to find an axe. So I start heading to the only place I know where I can find one, which is Searchlight Fire Station. On our way there, we run into a man who used to be a powder ganger, but he says he isn't anymore. Something about the lottery? I don't know. I just let him run free. And then we met up with a man with a dog on his head. Maybe I should have called him the Dog Man. Oh well. I was originally going to travel on my own, but I thought it'd be safer since I didn't really have a real usable weapon at the moment, since the no ammo, that I just followed the dog followers. So I followed them, and they were absolutely no help, seeing as these scorpions just ran right after me and they did nothing. The followers of the Dog Man will burn down a city, but will not fight a few scorpions? I don't get it, man. After a bit of walking, I had come across something a little silly. There was a battle between the Army and NCR and the dog followers, the Legion, and it was just the silliest fight I've ever seen. There were just no words to express how ridiculously, idiotic this fight was. Sometimes, man, Fallout New Vegas is just... it's something special. After that, I had finally made it to the outskirts of Searchlight, where one of the army men had warned me that the whole city was irradiated and full of ghouls. I didn't pay his warning much mind and just ran in, and quickly realized the fire station was locked. It needed a key to get in. So I was hurrying, trying to find the basement so I can start Wheel of Fortune, because I believe the guy who has that quest has the key. So the first basement I entered was not the basement I needed to enter. It was full of geckos, and I just got out of there. Then I ran across Searchlight, found the second basement, and thought I was safe. Started looting the area, looking around, when I heard a commotion. The ghouls had followed me. So there was just this chaos in this basement between the people with guns and then the ghouls who just all equipped with knives for some reason, just stabbing the crap out of everyone while I was running around, trying my hardest not to get involved, but after a while it was no use and I got stuck in a corner and stabbed to death. After that, I loaded back up into the basement, and apparently the ghouls didn't want to come after me after I had loaded up again. I don't know. I don't understand it. But I'm happy I'm at least safe now. So I talked to the man in the basement, and he tells me if I want to help and get into that fire station, I'm going to need to open that safe for him. Oh. I don't have a way to open that safe. Well, okay, so this was a bust. I have to walk out of Searchlight in shame, just covered in cuts and irradiated. Just all around a fruitless mission. So, I did find another location where I could find a fire axe, but first, I wanted to turn in that quest for the dog followers. This army man didn't seem too happy about what I was telling him, but whatever, I got experience, and I actually leveled up. putting my points into energy weapons and melee weapons. Next, I talked to the fancy hat lady to turn in her thing, and then we were on to find that axe. It was at the tribal camp, but if you know what that location is, you know you're gonna have to deal with a rough enemy, Cazadors. I took a little bit of time to investigate the area, see if I can get down in there and then out real quick, but no. Or just lure them away? Nope. So I just had to go down there, look for the axe, and then try and beat them down or run, but more likely beat them down. This resulted in many deaths. It was a pain. Just death after death after death. But I did eventually make it through and got myself a brand new weapon for a run. With our new weapon, we decided to go take some revenge on those ants, and because of that, we leveled up, putting our points into explosives and melee weapons, and then chose the Educated perk. After that, we beat up a few more ants, and then talked to the Fancy Hat Man to tell them that we had dealt with the ants in the road. After that, we went exploring for a little bit and found some powder gangers who needed some help, so we untied them, and apparently the dog followers did not like that very much and attacked immediately, so we beat them up. I don't think they like me very much anymore. After that, we went and dealt with the merchant that Eddie wanted us to take care of, but he was actually a bounty hunter, and we were able just to tell him, hey, this isn't a good idea, and he left. While in the middle of trying to pet a dog, Malcolm Holmes interrupted me. I don't think the dog enjoyed that very much, and he attacked with one of his friends. After that, I went back to Eddie, and he told me that the army men were preparing the attack, and he wanted to know when. So we went to go talk to the army man. He didn't tell us anything, though, so we just looked into his pocket and took his papers, and then reported back to Eddie. Eddie was pleased, but I guess we got the papers to him too late, because the army men were already attacking. So we stayed behind and tried to fight off the army men. After a few good swings with the axe, they all went down. I don't think the army men liked me very much either. On our travels, we found a bighorner, but didn't invade his personal bubble. And then we saw a dinosaur off in the distance. So we rushed and hurried, and man, it was a lot bigger in person than I thought. Cool, and we actually found Victor here. I wasn't expecting to see him here, but I was definitely glad to see him again. We talked to a doctor who seemed quite familiar for some reason, and then we talked to a red shirt man who had plenty of flamer ammo for us, which is amazing. We also bought a dino toy and a rocket from him. After that, we talked to the man who named Manny, and he had told us that he had met with a man in the checkered jacket and knew where he was going, but we had to do something for him first. We had to take care of some ghouls there over at Repcon. So we went over to Repcon and fought a few ghouls outside, looted a little bit, and found more flamer ammo, which is amazing. And then I decided to go a little fire crazy and just set all the ghouls on fire. It's nice seeing everything lit up like the 4th of July. After that, we leveled up, put our points into energy weapons and explosives, and took the Bloody Mess perk. We went inside, and somebody on the intercom was telling us to go upstairs, so we went upstairs and met a bald man who didn't seem to like us very much, but he told us to go talk to the glowy boy. So we talked to the glowy boy, and he said he wanted us to deal with some demons downstairs. If we did that, and help him with a few other stuff, he would leave with all his cool friends. So we agreed and went downstairs to go deal with some demons. In the basement, we meet up with a ghoul, not a demon, and he said he wanted us to help him find his girlfriend. So we go and do just that, but not before talking to a friendly demon who wanted us to do something, but I don't quite remember what he wanted. I think something about stealth boys? I don't know. I was just looking at Antler the whole time. After that, we find that other ghoul's ghoul friend, and she's not in very good shape. So we go back to the ghoul, tell him she didn't make it. He's a little upset, but thanks us. We go back to the demon, and for now he's angry with us for some reason. Maybe because I wasn't listening to him, I don't know. Anyway, we had to put him down. So after that, we actually got to go on a little adventure with Antler all on our own. So we went down to the basement with Antler and played a little hide and seek. I put him in a little hiding spot next to the workbench. Nobody will ever find him there. It's kind of weird that he's like disappearing, but I mean that must be just how good Antler is at hide and seek. After that, we go and talk to Glowy Boy again, and he thanks us for getting rid of the demons and starts heading down to the basement. After that, we talk to Glowy Boy again, and he told us to go talk to the bald man. So we do, and the bald man has a few things we need to do before the ghouls can leave. He needs us to get some sort of parts for the rockets, and then some sort of glowy radioactive substance for it too. So we go out and find that. We have to fight a gecko first before we can get the tube of radioactive substance. It wasn't that bad though. After that, we got to pet a cute little doggo, and then talked to an old lady who had the parts we needed, and we bought them all for them. We went back to the bald man, and he was excited that we got the parts ready, and everything was ready to go for their rockets. The Glowy Boy made a speech, but I didn't really care about it, and just went up to launch the rockets. And with that, the quest was complete, and they were out of here. After that, I leveled up, put my skill points in energy, weapons, and repair. On the way back, I ran into some dog followers who were just being mean to some cows, so I beat them up and saved the cows. Went back to Manny. He was happy that I got rid of the ghouls, and told me the information I wanted on the Checkered Man. We went up to Boulder City, where an army man stopped me, telling me there was a stalemate going on between the Great Khans and them. We told him we might be able to resolve things, so we went inside and found none other than the friend of the Checkered Man. He said he wasn't friends with the Checkered Man anymore, and I believed him. Something about him getting stabbed in the back or something. Not a very nice thing to do. I should know. We agreed to help him out of this predicament, and we leveled up. We put our skill points into energy, weapons, and repair, and then took the fast draw perk. After that, we went outside and bribed the army man to let him go, and then went back to inform our new friend that he was free to go. After that, I traveled along a railroad line for a little bit. After turning around after a little bit, I saw that there was Victor behind us. I don't know how long he'd been following us, but I was definitely glad to see our friend again. Apparently, he wasn't the only one following us, as the army men, well, in this case, army woman, stopped me and told me something about a Grim Reaper. I don't know, sounded kind of creepy, but I didn't pay much mind to it. I did find out about this little thing that if you kept pressing E on her, or the talk button, it would constantly zoom in and zoom out, and I just pressed that as fast as I could to see what would happen. It was kind of interesting. On our way to New Vegas, we actually encounter Victor and follow him for a bit before he just disappears upon entering Freeside? Huh. After that, we talked to Rotface for a little bit, which I never knew this man had so much dialogue. Like, a crazy amount of dialogue for somebody you never have to talk to. Like, there's no reason to talk to him, but you can, and he has an insane amount of dialogue, so I just sat and listened to him. After that, we got a fireworks display over the New Vegas gate, and then we had to submit ourselves to a credit check. I had enough for the pass the credit check? Huh, I thought I was gonna have to spend forever in Freeside. Where'd I get the money for the credit check? Okay, whatever. Next we meet up with Victor, who tells us Mr. House is looking for us. So we listen to Victor because he's our friend, and we go and talk to Mr. House. Mr. House congratulates us on getting this far, and informs us that we need to take out Benny and get the platinum chip back to Mr. House. So we listen to him and step outside, but we're stopped by an army man who tells us that our debts are forgiven and that somebody wants to talk to us, but I don't care, I'm doing something for Mr. House right now. I go over to the Grand Graphs to pick up some ammo, and Ooh, they have a lot of ammo. And then I permanently borrow one of their flamers so I can use it against Benny. I head inside to the Tops Casino and talk to Swank and inform him about all the information I have about Benny. He lets us keep our weapons inside and we go off and confront Benny. Ooh, he has no idea how long I've waited for this day. As we set fire to him, his bodyguards, the whole casino, everything will burn! I got a little carried away there, didn't I? Well, anyway, after that we leveled up, put all our points into energy weapons, and as we stepped outside, the Dogman greeted us, told us that he forgave all our crimes, and that we needed to talk to a man named Caesar. Alright, but not right now, I gotta talk to Mr. House. So we head to Mr. House, and he congratulates us and thanks us for getting the chip, and then he gives us a little fireworks show, this time with bigger explosives. After heading back up, Mr. House wants us to go talk to Caesar and then install something over at a base he has on Fortification Hill. We head out, but not before we're stopped by a nice lady. She wants us to put something in Mr. House's network so she can monitor how he's been able to stay alive for long. I don't quite understand it, but I agree to help because she's very nice. I get distracted and head over to the Van Graffs because, hey, maybe if I can get some work for them, I can get some discounts. So we talk to Gloria Van Graff about getting some work here, and she tells us about some guard duty that we can take. We do the guard duty, and it goes well, except for this one guy who decides to attack us because he doesn't want to be searched. We go back to Gloria and tell her what happened, and she appreciated our work, but then had another job for us. She wanted us to go take a sample of something to somebody, so we went off, gave the sample to the man we were supposed to, went back to Gloria, was happy, and then gave us another job to go talk to her brother for another assignment. This man was very aggressive and very determined, but I was more than willing to work for him. So he told us that we needed to find Cass, somebody who works with the Crimson Caravan Company. So we go talk to the Crimson Caravan Company, and they tell us where Cass is. We go talk to her and try to convince her to go meet up with Gloria's brother, but we don't have any of the stats to convince her. We're not very charismatic, as you see, so unfortunately we can't do that. So instead, I head over to Camp McCarran and talk to the Major. He's willing to give us a little bit of money if we can take out a few of the fiends. So we go ahead and do that, but not before leveling up. We put our points into energy weapons, and then we take the toughness perk. Then we head off to the fiends. First is Cook, who also uses a flamethrower, but he's no match for my flamethrower. Then we say hello to his cow before taking on Violet and her dogs. Her dog's no problem, and then she is also quickly taken care of. After that, we pull off a nice extinguisher combo off of Driver Defy. Then we head back to the Major to inform him and give him the heads of all the fiends that we killed. He is quite happy with us and gave us a good sum of money. At this point, I picked up some more ammo at the Crimson Caravan and then decided I think it's time to get ourselves a new weapon. Now, I know Pyro can use a shotgun, but if I'm going to be doing other mercenaries, I'm going to get real tired of using a shotgun. And the Pyro has another weapon in his arsenal that's fully unique to him that we can find here in Fallout New Vegas. But we're going to have to tackle one of the DLCs. So we head over to the DLC entrance and enter Lonesome Road, probably considered one of the hardest DLCs in the game. We run into a cute little robot named Eddie, and then beat the crap out of some sentry bots. Somebody then started talking through Eddie, but I didn't give a crap what they said. Next, we beat the crap out of some marked men and leveled up. We put our points into melee and repair, and we took the Pyromaniac perk, finally. After that, we found a detonator and blew up a bomb. It was awesome. We loved it so much that we blew up another bomb, and another one, and another one. Finally, though, we had found what we were looking for. On the body of a marked man, he had a flare gun. So, we repaired everything we had, and then immediately left Lonesome Road. We took a second to test out our weapon on a coyote, trying the tried and true puff and sting method. I say it worked out pretty well. We finally remembered that we were supposed to head to Cottonwood Cove and travel to see Mr. Caesar, so we started heading that way and the game crashed. To make sure it didn't crash again, we jumped into a glowing puddle and splashed around a little bit, and that seemed to prevent another crash. We talked with Caesar, who was a little rude, and he wanted to blow up something in Mr. House's, so even though we told him we were going to go do it, we definitely didn't. We met up with Mr. House, and he told us that in this little base here, that there were robots that needed activated with the platinum chip. So we headed down, used the MVM classic burning robots to death, accidentally blew up a generator when I was trying to kill the robots, but everything seemed fine, and then we activated the robots that Mr. House wanted us to activate. Upon the exit, we got stuck fighting some sentry bots, and that led to another crash. So we went back through and activated it again, leveled up, putting our points into medicine and melee, and then on the way back out, the bots didn't seem to want to attack us again. Maybe because I didn't accidentally blow up a generator this time. Went back to Caesar, and even though we didn't do what he asked, he seemed happy with us. And then we went back to House, who congratulated us again. He is a very nice fellow, and told us that we needed to go deal with the boomers over in Nellis Air Force Base. Before I went over that way, though, I installed the bug the nice lady wanted me to, and then I told her about it. She said it worked out fine until it didn't, I guess. And then we went off to the New Vegas Medical Center and got ourselves an implant. All I heard was makes you bulletproof, so I said sign me up. We made it to Nellis Air Force Base where this man stopped us and told us he had a tip for getting through the bombs. So we paid him for his tip, and then took a casual stroll through the bombardment and made it to the gate. Upon arrival, they told me to wait and then escorted me over to the old lady. Old lady had said she'd been waiting for us, which is kinda weird, because I didn't tell him I was coming here. She said she wanted me to help her and her fellow boomers by doing some tasks for them. They seemed nice enough, so I decided to help them. First I took a history lesson. Then I met a man named Jack, told him he was handsome.
You think I'm handsome?
And then asked him about the girl he was stalking. After that I went and beat up some ants, and leveled up, putting all my points into repair, and then taking the Toughness 2 perk. After that I repaired some solar panels, and then went and talked to the girl that Jack was spying on. This red-headed lady had actually been spying on Jack, too, and had wanted to meet him. So I talked to the old lady to see if it was possible for her to join the boomers. She said it was, as long as Jack kept an eye on her. I told Jack, and Jack was ecstatic, and wanted me to tell the redhead the news. So I went and told the redhead the news, but she didn't want to leave immediately because she wanted her money from Crimson Caravan before she left. I talked to Crimson Caravan, but they refused, so I told the redhead the bad news, but she was okay with it and left anyway. Went back to Jack, and he seemed as happy as could be. After that, I could talk to the old man about the boomer's greatest dreams, which was to resurrect an old bomber that had sunk into a lake. He gave me instructions on where it was and what to do when I got there, and suggested Jack make me a rebreather. Talked to Jack, and he said he needed a pressure cooker. So I rummaged through the boomer's supplies, but they didn't have anything. I checked the North Vegas apartments, but all I found was Antler. What are you doing here, buddy? And then I went to the old lady to see if she had anything, but no, she didn't have anything either. So I ended up in Novac just talking to Nobark. Nothing he said made sense, but I don't know, something about him just rubbed off on me. Maybe it was his luck, charisma, I don't know. But afterwards, I was able to find exactly what I was looking for in Jeannie Mae's house. So after I grabbed it, I rushed back to Jack, and he made me the rebreather. Took a little swim with the fishies, and found a Swiffer wet jet in the cave, and then I found the bomber. I attached the ballasts to the bomber, got up onto land, and brought it to the surface. Told the old man, and he seemed ecstatic. And then I told the old lady, and she was happy as well. I had asked her if she was willing to help Mr. House in that upcoming battle, and she said she would be more than happy to help after everything I've done. I reported back to Mr. House, and he told me that the Omertas needed to be dealt with next. So I talked to the receptionist over at Gomorrah, and she told me to go talk to Caccino. Caccino didn't want to talk to me though, so I stole his wallet, and that changed his mind. He told me that the bosses were planning something big on the strip, and that they had hired a man named Troik and a man named Plandon to do the dirty work. So I talked to Troik first, and he wasn't willing to really tell me anything until I got him out of his contract. So I talked to his boss and got him out of his contract, and he told me what the big bosses are planning. They were stockpiling weapons to do some sort of crazy invasion on the strip. So he gave me some thermite so I could blow up the weapons cache. After that, I went to go deal with Clandon, but he wasn't wanting to tell me anything. I found a snuff room, but still wasn't willing to open up. So I took a moment to go relax and listen to some jokes, and then reported back to Caccino. He said either way Clandon had to be taken out for good. So I went into his room, and since I didn't have any weapons because the security at the front desk took them from me, I just punched him to death. Then I went down to the weapons stash, and they had a flamer in there that I could have taken. So I reloaded his save, took the flamer from the stash, burned the stash, and then went back to Clandon to incinerate that man to ash. I went back to Caccino, who then told me that the big bosses had to be taken out as well. So we went upstairs and showed the big bosses my great balls of fire, and then Caccino became the boss and gave me a few chips to play around with. So I went and gambled a little bit and immediately lost all my chips. I was never much of a gambler anyway. We reported back to Mr. House, who then told us that we had to deal with the Brotherhood of Steel. So we stocked up on some more ammo, got a little revenge on those Cazadors, had to deal with a few Deathclaws, but with the flare gun and the fire axe, that was pretty easy to deal with. Then stumbled across Vault 19, where I had found Cook, a powder ganger. He was wanting to use the sulfur mines, but had to get rid of the fire geckos first, so I helped him with that. Went back to him, and now he wanted me to help him get into the Great Khans by talking to Papa Khan. So I went over to Papa Khan, told him that the powder gangers were looking to join up, and he agreed. Then I talked to a drug lady who wanted me to go find her friend, and then when I went to go find him, my game crashed. When I loaded back up, I just went back to Cook, told him the good news, and then leveled up. I put my points into medicine, melee, and repair, and then took the meltdown perk, which I would come to regret. After that, I had found Anders on a cross and helped him down, and reported back to the drug lady, who then wanted me to deal some drugs. So I broke into this man's house and then proceeded to give him the drugs, and he seemed alright with it, and went back to the drug lady, who gave me another mission to go deliver some drugs to Vault 3. Unfortunately, they didn't seem to like me very much and just seemed to attack me. This is when I began to regret the meltdown perk, but I fought my way through, freed some people, and met up with Motor Runner. He didn't attack me immediately and just let me give him the drugs. Huh. Well, I killed him anyway, and then reported back to the drug lady, who didn't have any more jobs for me after that. I then proceeded to the Brotherhood of Steel bunker, killing everyone inside, and then finding the Elder, killing him, finding the head Paladin, killing him, leveling up, putting my points in melee and repair, then killing the head Scribe, then taking all 3 of their keycards, activating the computer, and setting off the self-destruct sequence. I rushed out of there as fast as I could, and the place blew up behind me. I then reported back to Mr. House, who was very impressed by my performance. My new objective now was to protect the President of the Army Men. I reported to the Ranger Man, who told me what was going on, and he gave me full access to the facility for some reason. So the first thing I did after the President arrived was checked his helicopter, and there was a bomb on it, so we deactivated that. Then we found the body of a sniper on the ground, so we went up and saw how the sniper was doing that was up there, and said we should probably report the dead body. He did not take kindly to that, and we had to kill him. After that, we reported back to the ranger and told him about the stuff that happened, and we evacuated the prison as fast as we could. Mission accomplished. Mr. House then told us about the final step before the battle, activating a substation, currently controlled by the army men. So we went in, activated it, fought off some of the army men who didn't like us being there, and then leveled up. We added points into repair and science, and then took the weapon handling perk, because why not? After that, since we had the big battle coming up, we went to the Van Graffs and bought myself a better flamer, the Cleansing Flame. Oh yeah, that thing looks beautiful with its 3 nozzles. Went back to Mr. House and told him we were ready for the fight of our lives. We were dropped off at Hoover Dam and started setting everyone who wasn't on our side on fire, which meant pretty much everyone. There were some tough boys downstairs who we also set on fire, but they weren't that bad, and then installed Mr. House into the system. We fought alongside Mr. House's robots, and then finally made it to the Legate's camp. Oh, Legate Lanius. This fight was a pain in the rear. Ugh, I had made so many attempts fighting him. Just the fact that we had to get in close to him and we couldn't talk him out of having his bodyguards with him just was a recipe for disaster. I took this fight over and over and over again and just kept on dying repeatedly. It's just, I don't know if I need to level up more or I need a few more perks. It was just a pain. It was utter suffering. I was very close to getting him on one of the times, and then the game crashed. But after more deaths, and more pain, and many profanities spoken out loud, we finally beat him when he decided to stop using his overpowered sword and instead try and shoot us with a really crap gun. General Oliver had made it onto the scene and was extremely impressed by our performance. Unfortunately, we weren't fighting for him and informed him that he should surrender. He didn't take our advice, and instead we had to fight him. So we burned all him and his men to the ground. With him dead, Mr. House came up to us, gave us unending praise, and we had finished Fallout New Vegas as the Pyro from Team Fortress 2. Well, this was a lot of fun. Well, except for the Legate Lanius fight, but yeah, I'd love to do another one of these runs again in the future. Maybe playing as a different mercenary this time. If you liked the video, please leave a like and subscribe, and I hope to have more videos for you shortly. Thank you for watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye.